What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Locked In Sports, bringing you my seven. That's right, we got seven of them. Best bets for today, Wednesday, July 17th, in the NBA Summer League. Got some really great bets today, some that I really like, some that I'm betting the house on. I'm excited to tell you which those are when we get to the main section of the video. Plus, got a couple total game points props that I like a lot that are going to be talked about after the player props. So towards the very end of the video, our total points line props did amazing for us yesterday. So had to bring them back. And thank you to the subscriber who was commenting down below asking for them because, man, that worked out really well for all of us. But before I hop into those total game points props, gotta talk about the player props. Before I hop into the player props, gotta do a recap. For the recap, I just want to say that, as always, thank you all so much for the support on the channel. It's been wild. It's been really gratifying to see just all the new subscribers, to wake up and see the subscriber count just go up, views go up, all that go up. So thank you all very, very much. If you're new to the channel, if you like making money with us, subscribe, turn on notifications because the points lines for Summer League come out very late. So I only get these videos up about an hour or two before the games start. So the sooner you're notified about the video, the better chances you have getting in all your bets before the games start. So yeah, make sure notifications are turned on. And as always, leave a like, leave a comment down below with your own picks, props, parlays, or suggestions for what you want to see in future videos. All right, with all that out of the way, let's hop into a recap of yesterday. I'm going to run through it pretty quickly because I don't want to make these videos too long and boring. But yesterday was a really interesting day because we went 6-3. That's a huge winning day, but our player prop struggled. We had two pretty solid hits. We had Carlton Carrington for over 25 and a half PRA. He had 29, slow start, got there in the end, nice. And Midas Buzelis, who looked like he might go under because it seems that the scorekeepers didn't give him a basket that he scored. Didn't matter. He got another one for us, clearing his 16 and a half points line with 18. Love Buzelis for that. What didn't hit, Adama Sanogo just kind of went under his line. Uneventful there. Had a rough game, only had 10 points. Jacob Toppin was just a weird one. When I tuned in, he had the most points on his team, most shots taken. He was looking great. Announcers were just talking, or the commentators were just talking about how great he was playing. I was excited to watch it, and he didn't take another shot for 35 minutes. He had 35 more minutes of game time, didn't take a single shot that entire stretch. Don't know what was going on with that. Don't know if that was a coach's decision or he just got cold feet for whatever reason. Felt like that game where they put Bijan Robinson in for like one down and never again. Unfortunate, but we move on. Terrence Shannon, we had him for over 23 and a half PRA. Just didn't. He had 15. Unfortunate game. He hit first once, missed first once, so the guys just kind of evening out there. Now, for the total game points lines that were kind of crazy yesterday, we had Pacers versus Suns for over 177 and a half points, went over. The Sixers versus Timberwolves for over 176 and a half, went over. Clippers versus Bucks over 173 and a half, went way over. And the one that I have to put an asterisk next to because it is a bit weird, the Knicks versus Nets, I took the under. The line, I took the under on it. Whether or not you hit depends what sportsbook you were betting on. Now, ESPN Bet tends to have their lines a little bit lower, so they had 176 and a half. Game ended with 177, so we took it there, didn't hit. But every other sportsbook I saw had the line higher, so the under would have hit, which is awesome. Now, that just leaves me to say, and I should have said this in the last video, I'll say it again towards the end of this video when I get into the total points lines. But check out all the sports books that you guys personally use and make sure you're getting the best lines. If I give an under, find the sports book with the highest line. Generally, like DraftKings, I've seen has had some pretty high lines. Or if I'm taking the over, find a sports book with a lower line. ESPN Bet has had the generally about 2 to 3 points lower than every other sports book I've seen. So if you want to check out there, so just letting you guys know, find the sports book with the best line for the pick. That's what I'm going to be using to determine whether or not a pick hit or missed. But with that all out of the way, thanks for listening to all that. Let's hop into my picks for today. Now, I'm going to try to fly through these picks a little faster than usual because these videos have been getting pretty lengthy. So for my first pick of the day, I'm taking Cole Swider from the Miami Heat for under 16.5 points. This one, pretty simple pick. He's been under this line twice. He had 15 off the bench in his first game, and then only 3 in his second. So really poor showing there. And the 15 points didn't earn him a starting role. 3 points definitely isn't. His minutes also decreased from 20 to 15. I think that trend continues. Man, he had a great first game, didn't get him off the bench, got him fewer minutes in the next game, has a bad second game. I don't think he's even their sixth man this next game. He's probably their seventh or eighth man, and probably getting fewer minutes. I think 16 points is way too high. Even in that crazy good game he had where he played 20 minutes, he still went under the line. So really easily locking in Cole Swider from the Miami Heat for under 16.5 points. Next up, looking at the player from the New York Knicks. Man, I wished I backed him yesterday. It's Dwayne Washington for over 17.5 points. He's over this in both games he played. His first one, he had 25, then 21. Easily going over this line with over 20 in both of those. And he's their main scoring guy. Toppin definitely took more of a backseat last game. Washington stepped up. Washington's been up in both games. And yeah, he doesn't have insane volume, but still the highest on his team, which is a spot where I like to back a guy with really solid consistency. He's shooting consistently. He's proven he can do it 2 games in a row. Main scoring option. Don't see any reason to take anything other than Dwayne Washington for over 17.5 points. Next up, taking another just really obvious, really easy pick. These picks today are fantastic. It's Kyle Flabowski from the Utah Jazz for over 7 points. Why is Flabowski's line at 7? Seriously, he's been over it and into double digits every single game he's played. His first game, he had 10 shots. Second game, he had 8 shots taken. He's taking more shots per game than the lot in his points line. Doesn't make sense. I think whoever made this line was just out of their mind. Come on. Kyle Flabowski scoring at least 12 points. Give me Kyle Flabowski for over 7 points. This line's wildly low. Next up is a line that needs a bit more explaining, but it's a really, really solid one. It's Brandon Miller of the Charlotte Hornets for over 31.5 PRA. Brandon Miller, who personally I think is probably playing the best of anyone in the Summer League so far. He had 33 PRA in his first and only game, and they're going into the second leg of a back-to-back. He didn't play yesterday, but he's going to play today. And I think the Hornets didn't have him play yesterday because they knew they could win that game without him. Now they bring him in the second game and just run the whole offense through him. I wouldn't be surprised if he beats this in points alone. It's Brandon Miller. We know he can go out and score 30-plus points. We've seen so far in the Summer League that he can rebound and assist at a really high level as well. He's their only fresh starter. Yeah, I genuinely, really, really do think they run their whole offense through Brandon Miller, and he soars past this line in the third quarter, despite it being pretty high. So, Brandon Miller, the Charlotte Hornets, for over 31.5 PRA. Next up, this is one of the easiest decisions I've ever made. We're taking G.G. Jackson of the Memphis Grizzlies for over 6 rebounds. G.G. Jackson for over 6 rebounds. I would take this in an NBA game. I would take it every day in a Summer League game. He had 7 in his first game, just over this line, getting his footing, and then 11 in his second. And if you're saying, oh, well, man, he plays for the Memphis Grizzlies. They just got Zach Edey. Zach Edey's a defensive monster, especially off the boards. He's getting a lot of rebounds. What's going to happen to G.G. Jackson? He gets 11. He did better with Zach Edey in the game than without him. He had more rebounds in a game with Zach Edey in the game than without him. G.G. Jackson and Zach Edey pair really well together, and they both get monster boards. It's awesome to see. Look, I bet 10 times as much as I usually do on this pick. 10 times as much. I'm not confident in G.G. Jackson going over 6 rebounds. Next up, man, it's a familiar name. It's A.J. Mitchell of the Oklahoma City Thunder for over 15 points. We've taken his over 2 games in a row, and what's he done 2 games in a row? Oh, he's gone over. This pick is the same reasoning as every time I've taken him before. He takes a lot of shots. He's a key shooter for their team. He takes the most shots on his team. His first game, he scored 15 points, which was over his line for that game. And the Thunder were held to 69 in that game, pretty low. His next game, he scored 21, blowing past his line for that game. And the Thunder were held to 73. Now they're facing the Suns, who've given up 90 plus to every single opponent, and AJ Mitchell's line goes down? What? What world are we living in where going up against a weaker defensive team makes your line go down? Dude, I'm taking this pick. I'm parlaying it with the GG Jackson pick, and I'm betting 10 times as much as I usually do. This is a no brainer to me. Easily locking in for the third time AJ Mitchell for over 15 points. Now, for my seventh and final pick of the day, I'm taking another familiar name. Now, be real, he's someone who didn't hit for us last time, but had a really strong showing and beat his new line. It's Dalton Connect of the Los Angeles Lakers for over 18 points. They lowered his line, couldn't resist, had to throw in a whole extra pick for this video just because this line was so good. Look, Connect had 25 in his first game with solid efficiency. He had 19 in his second game, not the best efficiency. I think he bounces back. And even if he doesn't bounce back, even if he has another mediocre game, well, his line's at 18. He scored 19 previously in a rough game. I think he easily goes over this 18 points line. I think if he has a good game, he scores 25 again. I think if he has a bad game, he scores a 19 again. And now you might be saying, well, they're playing the Hawks. The Hawks have been pretty good defensively, except against the guard. And guess what Dalton Connect is playing? Guard. The Hawks have given up the most points. Sorry, the most points have been scored on the Hawks by a guard in both games they've played. They've letting guards shoot at about 50%. If you let Dalton Connect shoot at 50%, he's going to have 30. Yeah, easily locking in Dalton Connect, the main and only scorer on Lakers. They're going to rely on this guy for over 18 points. There you have it. Those were my 7 best bets for today, Wednesday, July 17th in the NBA Summer League. Now, as promised, we've got 2 total game points lines. Same as the best bets, not going to make these too long because I don't want to make the video too long. So, what do we have today? Well, we got the Raptors versus Jazz, and I'm taking them for under, have 174.5 points. Look, they're both more defense-oriented teams, and both have been scoring in and around the 80s and holding their opponents to similar amounts. Last time I checked, 80 plus 80, that's 160. 160 is under 174 and a half. Man, I'm stuttering right now. But yeah, they're both more defensive teams. Even against strong offensive teams, they're holding them somewhere in the 80s. They're scoring somewhere in the 80s. I think I could realistically see both of these teams scoring somewhere in the high 70s this game. So easily locking them in for under 174 and a half. But as I said earlier, disclaimer, going to issue it out again. Find the best lines that you can. I'm using the ESPN bet lines because that's what's easiest for me to see because that's where I'm looking at ESPN for all my data. But I encourage you guys to look at DraftKings, to look at BetMGM, to look at whatever sports books you like and find the highest possible line since these are both going to be unders. Now, for the second pick, taking the Lakers versus Hawks, under 172.5 points. Why? Well, neither of these teams is, respectfully, that good. Both have been scoring in the 70s and 80s every single game, and neither team has the offense to go over this line. That's just a simple fact of it. I know we took Dalton Connect over, and man, I think Dalton Connect is going to have a great game. But that's it for the Lakers. Who else do they have? Lewis, maybe? Lewis is kind of a chucker. I could see him doing decent, but not great. Bronny's not scoring. Castleton's decent, but he's only scoring like maybe 10 points in a game. Yeah, I don't see anyone on either of these teams really making a difference to push this over 172.5 points. So I'm easily locking in Lakers versus Hawks under 172.5 or under whatever the highest line you can find it at is. Likely DraftKings will have it around 174, maybe 175. Look for it there. But those are my 2 total game points props for today. Feel pretty good about them. Really liking these total point props. So yeah, that's it for the video. Thank you all very much for watching. Let me know what you think of the picks in the comments down below. If you have your own picks, parlays, if you're not feeling as confident about AJ Mitchell and GG Jackson as I am, let me know. Personally, I bet the house on them, so let's see what happens. But yeah, leave a like as well. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe. Turn on notifications so you get notified when videos drop. So you can place your bets before the games start. And yeah, if you guys want some fantasy football content, there's a video on screen right now, here, somewhere around here, with some underrated fantasy players. from the NFL fantasy draft this year that I really like. Video that I'm pretty proud of. So go ahead and check it out if you're a fantasy football fan. But that's going to be all for today. Thank you all very much for watching. Have a good one, and let's make some money. Yeah.